is a springtime ring to have a friend right in your corner. Your heart will feel a little warmer. Tender loving care, tender loving care. Each warm and friendly touch lets someone know you care so much. Tender loving care, tender loving care.
Good evening. I'm Dr. Greenbrier Almond, and I thank you for joining us on our program, Tender Loving Care. I've had the great privilege over the last 30 years or so to participate in the God and Me and God and Family program of the Cub Scouts here in Buchanan. And tonight I'm surrounded by some handsome young men that I want you to get to know because they have just participated and completed the God and Family project. And it's a wonderful part of scouting. A scout is reverent. A scout learns to be obedient to authority, including their mother and their father. And we're going to talk to the scouts tonight about the Ten Commandments and, of course, about their scouting experience. And I want you to get to know them now. We'll start over here with Austin. Austin, why don't you give us your name and your mom and dad's name?
My name is Austin Reed, and my mother's name is Sharon Reed. My dad's name is Donald Jr. Reed.
Okay, thank you. And Zach?
My name is Zachary White, my mom's name is Lois White, and my dad's name is Greg White.
Okay, and we really respect the families that participate in Scouts. It's a great endeavor. It's a wonderful program. And whether it's Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, all of these programs require a great deal of family effort. And over here we have another Scout. Rebel, why don't you give your name and your parents' name?
My name is Rebel Bowman. My mom's name is Jackie Bowman. My dad's name is Randy Bowman.
Okay, very good. And over here we have Richard. Richard, why don't you give us your family name?
My name is Richard Williams, and my mother's name is Sandra Lynn Williams, and my father's name is Ronald Perry Williams.
Okay, and by the way, your mother has a very special role with our Cub Scouts here. What does she do that's special?
She's the scout leader of Pack 128 for Webelos 1.
Okay, and we really appreciate our leadership in scouting too, not only the families but the leadership. Well, we're learning about God and family, and families, of course, are made up of brothers and sisters, and sometimes other in-laws, sometimes even pets. But Austin, do you have brothers?
Yes.
And who are they?
One of them is Derek Darrell Reed. Another one of them is Levi Reed, and the other one is Hunter Reed.
Okay. And Zach?
I have two brothers and one sister-in-law. One's name is Brian Cox, the other one is Truman White, and my sister-in-law's name is Selena Cox.
Okay, very good. And Rebel, you have a sister, don't you?
I got a sister. Her name's Nakona Rainbow Dawn Prime.
Mm-hmm. Very good. And Richard, you have relatives and in-laws and...
Yes, I have two sisters, one brother-in-law, and one niece. My sisters are Shelby Williams and Sierra Goff. My brother-in-law is Jonathan Goff. My niece is Alette Goff, and that's all.
Okay, and you did ask me, you said, what about pets? And of course, I think
Yeah.
God respects pets because they're an important part of families too, aren't they?
Yeah.
You've got some pets.
Well, one of them died. He was a goldfish.
Oh my, okay.
And another one I still have, Raphael, and he is 5.
Okay, well, very good. Now, we are talking about God and family. We're going to go through the parts of making a pizza. And the guys learned from making the pizza and eating pizza in the end at a pizza party, some of the principles of building a family. But one more part of a family is the community around us. And of course, these guys are parts of the school system. So I want them to be able to say hi to their teachers and to their classmates. And let's just go one more time, talk about where you all go to school. Austin?
I go to Tennyson Elementary. My teacher's name is Mrs. Abel. I'm in 5th grade.
Okay.
I go to Buchanan Academy Elementary School. My teacher's name is Miss Chips, and I'm in 4th grade.
Okay, excellent. And Rebel?
I go to Washington Strake School, and I have 3 teachers. One of them is Mrs. Wilfron, the other is Mrs. Prince, and the other one is Mr. Webb.
Okay, very good. And Richard?
I go to Buchanan Academy Elementary School. My teacher is Mrs. Casto, and I'm in 4th grade.
Okay, excellent. Well, let's talk a little bit about the Scout program as we've worked it through over a 6-week period. And one of the principles is that every pizza has a foundation. Every family has a foundation. And we learned, of course, about loving God and loving our neighbor. Austin, what do you remember about loving God? How can we love God? Maybe an example. How can we show God our love?
Do not say bad things,
Mm-hmm.
not take the Lord's name in vain, and be worthy of respect.
Okay, very good. Yes, actually the first of the 10 commandments, and we'll talk about those in detail, have to do with our relationship with God. So very good, Austin. And we also have neighbors, don't we? And we are to love our neighbor. How can we love our neighbor, Zach? What would you say would be a good example?
Be nice to them. Tell them that they have been a good neighbor all their life, and sometimes my neighbor gives me lollipops whenever I go over to her
Wow,
house.
so they're good to you, and you can be good to them. And I know that you do a good turn, help out at home. I think you told us you do weed eating and mowing. Do you ever go over and help the neighbors too?
Actually, they mow on their own because they have their own mower and it's
Okay.
self-propelled.
But you could help out if they asked you, couldn't you? That'd be a good neighbor to do. Building a foundation is having a family. Family is not just mom and dad. Sometimes it's grandparents or aunts or uncles. Who do you have in your family besides mom and dad and your sister, Rebel?
My aunt's name is Helen Wolford. Mom's name is Larry Wolford. And I got 2 cousins.
Oh, okay. Very good. So you have a big family here around. What else do you think about the foundation, Richard? Building a foundation is like building a house. You have to make a sturdy foundation. How has your family made a sturdy foundation for your family?
Well, it's just, oh darn it, I forgot.
Just being part of Scouts, isn't it?
Oh.
Your mom and dad are invested in Scouts.
Well, my mom, she encourages me on almost everything I do.
Okay.
And she helps me understand in some things I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes whenever something's tricky, like in math or in reading, my dad helps me on my homework.
Okay. Well, very good. That's what families are for, aren't they? And then we grow up strong and healthy and wise. We another part of making a pizza is the sauce. And of course you have the crust and then you have the sauce. And the sauce is our spiritual heritage. We learned several things, including several Bible stories. We learned about Ruth, who was from a foreign country. And she came with her mother-in-law back to Israel. And she actually became one of the relatives of Jesus in the lineage and the family tree of Jesus. And Ruth said something profound. It's often quoted in marriages. She said to Naomi, your God will be my God, and your people will be my people. And so she understood the importance of family. we decided that there are several relatives, actually, when we start thinking about family, that live out of town. You have someone living away from Buchanan, Austin. Where do they live?
My grandma lives in Maitland. Two of my aunts live in Kentucky. I have another aunt that lives in Beckley.
Okay, so down in southern West Virginia. Okay, and Zach, you have family that live away from here.
My grandma and grandpa live in Grafton, and my aunt and uncle live in Grafton too.
Okay, very good. And Rebel, you have some family living away from Buchanan.
My grandma lives in Philippi.
Philippi, okay.
My other grandma, she lives in Ohio. She's stationed for it now, so we're going back to Ohio in a week.
Okay, doke. So just visiting here. Okay. Richard, how about your family?
Well, one of my friends will be going to Ohio, and one of my sisters will be going to Ohio for college. And one of my aunts live in California. Another lives in Florida.
Mm-hmm. So your family's actually spread out all over the place. The other thing we learned about was, of course, Jesus' family, and who were the mother and father of Jesus? We talked about his family. You remember their names? Anyone? Okay. Well, Mary was the mother, right? And who was the father?
I forget.
Joseph, yeah. Joseph. We primarily sometimes we do this program at Christmas time, and it's easy to remember because we go over the Christmas story a good bit, as we did this time. But we were going it over mostly at Easter time. But Joseph and we understand that though Jesus was the oldest, and he was born as God's son too, but he did have other brothers and sisters. Now we had toppings. Pizza has toppings, doesn't it? Sometimes you like pepperoni. Let's see, who wanted sausage the other day when we had our party? Okay, here's some sausage eaters here. And what else did we have on our toppings? Meat lovers or something. Didn't we have a whole bunch of things? And pineapple. Who wanted pineapple?
Meat lovers and pineapples.
Okay. So there's all sorts of toppings, and our toppings are our talents and our gifts. And each of us is unique. And we learned that there are different ways that we can help out. We learned the story about Moses and Aaron. These are brothers who led the Israelites. And Moses could not speak well, but Aaron could speak well. And of course, Moses was a leader. But what are some talents you have, Austin? What do you do well around your family's home to help out?
I mow and weed eat.
Okay, very good. That's a big talent, a big help for your family. And Zach?
I mow and run really fast.
Okay, so that's you're good too at that. Good hand-eye coordination and learning responsibility. And Rebel, what about you? What talent do you have for your family?
I got enough for my family, but I'm good riding four-wheelers.
Riding a four-wheeler. Okay, very good. Well, that's a skill, isn't it, to do that? Yeah. And Richard, how about yourself?
Well, I run really fast,
Uh-huh.
and I'm a quick learner.
Wow, okay. So those are talents. Those are definitely talents. So God has made us special with talents, and we talked about that, didn't we? How we can grow our talents. Now, the cheese, we're making a pizza. We're building a pizza. The cheese that you put on a pizza and then melt it down are the rules that families live by. And we spent some time learning the Ten Commandments. And I want to just show off tonight to you all, the community, that Scouts are reverent and that they are dedicated to loving God and serving God. And that includes the Ten Commandments. And so let's just go through each of these and talk a little bit about what a Ten Commandment means to us. The first one was, "Thou shalt have no other gods before me." When God said that to the Israelites, he gave that to Moses up on Mount Sinai, the Ten Commandments. What did he mean by, "Thou shalt have no other gods before me"? Austin, what was he talking about there?
That you cannot have any other god over him.
Mm-hmm. We learned one time about Daniel and Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and the Emperor Nebuchadnezzar made a big tower, didn't he? He wanted people to bow down to him, and that would be an idol, wouldn't it? So that would be wrong, wouldn't it, to do that? Okay. Now, another one would be, thou shalt not take the Lord's God's name in vain. Zach, what do we mean when we say that?
Like saying a bad word right whenever you say God, the Lord's name, and when you get really mad, then you can't just hold it back and you say.
Right, we need to control our temper, don't we? And be careful what we say, and of course not use God's name in vain. And it's very important to honor the name of God. We honor that in different ways, don't we? On our coins, we have something written on our coins. What does that say on our coins? Do you know what the coin says, Rebel?
Okay.
If you look at a penny or a dime, it says something about God.
Yeah.
What's it say, Richard?
In God we trust.
In God we trust. Yes, yeah. We honor God, and we serve God, and we want to. That's a good way to represent our care for God, isn't it? To put it on our coin. One time, Jesus was teaching this principle, and he said to his disciples, he was asked the question, what about paying taxes? Do we pay our taxes to the government? And he said, well, show me a coin. And in the coin there was the face of Caesar. And he said, well, give to Caesar what is Caesar's, but give to God what is God's. So we want to honor God. Another one of the Ten Commandments was to remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy. I think, Rebel, you and I were talking about that one, weren't we? Keeping the Sabbath day holy, keeping Sunday a holy worship day. What does that mean to you? Do you try to not work on Sunday?
I don't work anytime.
Okay. Well, you're an honest man, right? You work sometime. You probably have some chores around the house, right? Not yet? Okay. Well, you have it easy, huh?
Yeah.
Someday you'll have chores. Your mom's watching this. Your dad. So, you probably have some responsibility for a pet. Maybe have to feed a pet or clean up your room.
I'm my own pet, but I don't feed it.
Oh, you don't?
The only thing I do is feed my fish.
Okay. But we want to honor the Sabbath day and keep it holy. God made the world in 6 days, didn't he? And on the seventh day he rested. And so we're following God's and keeping the Sabbath day holy. Okay. Now, there's one about the parents. We want to honor our father and our mother. Richard, what does that mean when God said, honor our father and our mother?
Well, back then it used to be so serious that the sentence would be death if you didn't follow your parents' instructions.
Right. We definitely had to obey the parents then.
I messed up and off.
How can you honor your father and your mother in your home? How do you think it works out in your home to honor your dad and mom?
Well, I barely get grounded. Well, actually, I don't get it all. Like, I never got grounded.
Okay. So you obey the rules of your family.
Yes.
Okay. So you're a good boy. And these are good boys. I would say that over and over again. The parents have been faithful to bring the scouts to the church where we've had the God and Family Project week after week over the past 6 weeks or more. And so that's the boys have been obedient to do their lessons, include learning the Ten Commandments. Well, there's more. We wanted to do all 10 of them tonight here. Thou shalt not kill. Austin, what do we mean about that when God said, thou shalt not kill?
That means you should not hurt someone if they're being mean to you. And plus, you should not be mean back to them if they're being mean to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we talked about bullying, I think, that night. It came up that we may not kill people, but there are people who are mean, aren't there? And mean and nasty. And And that's not good either. God wants us to be kind and to love one another, and of course to love God.
Not kill.
And Austin, you said?
And not kill.
And not kill. Absolutely.
And not eat people.
And that means people. Yeah.
I said do not eat people.
Thou shalt not commit adultery. We talked about marriage and mothers and fathers staying together. Zach, is that a good rule? Thou shalt not commit adultery that God said was part of the Ten Commandments?
Yeah, because I don't think your husband or wife would want you sleeping with another person.
Absolutely. We need to be faithful to one another. Make strong families, doesn't it? And when families promise to live together in the eye of God, don't we? And when we have a wedding ceremony, and to be faithful, and that's part of the promise. There's another one. Thou shalt not steal. Rebel, what about stealing, robbing from people?
It is bad and it's mean.
It's a bad one? Bad to do that. We don't steal, do we? Scouts don't steal, do they?
No.
No.
And it is mean.
And what's that?
And it is mean.
Yeah, and you too. And how about another one, thou shalt not lie? Richard, what about that? How important is that to a family getting along with each other or getting along with your teacher or your classmates?
Well, there's this show that I saw a commercial of. It's called Pretty Little Liars.
Oh, my goodness.
And it's like a lying game. Like, lies can lead to deaths. It's like a fight to the death.
Yeah.
And they lie a lot, and then, like, someone dies.
And that's-
Like a bunch of people, a bunch of random people.
So lying is really, it breaks the Ten Commandment, of course, and we need to tell the truth, don't we?
How to kill
A
people?
scout is trustworthy,
How to kill people?
loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind,
Courageous.
obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and
Kind,
reverent.
courageous,
So
friendly,
part of the
kind,
scout law
kind.
is not lying. And finally, not wanting what is our neighbor's, not coveting. What does that mean to covet or to want something that belongs to someone else? Just because you're keeping up with the Joneses. Austin, what do you say?
If you want something that another person has, don't take it from them. Just ask them where they got it and go buy one.
Yeah, you could save up and go buy it if you really want it, right? But don't just want it because they have it. Sometimes we do that, don't we? I mean, there's things in style, and we want to have something that everyone else has, and that's normal in a way, but we have to be careful. God said there's a trap there, and that's a
Right.
trap, and
Ask him, that's fine. Ask him when I got it, that's fine. Just don't steal it.
yeah, that's right. Don't steal it, and save up and go buy it. Okay, so the cheese are the laws, and we made a lot about that. Then we began to bake our pizza. And life is full of adventure. Things happen in life. And we need to be true to God, don't we? We learned the story of the three young men, probably just about the scouts' age, and they were bright boys. And they were selected to, in Daniel's time, to be with the court of Nebuchadnezzar. And Nebuchadnezzar had a rule that everyone would bow down to him when there would be an announcement and music play. And these three obeyed God. They said, we're not going to bow down. And what happened to them? How did they suffer for obeying
died.
God? Did they have to go into a fiery furnace?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. And what happened in the fiery furnace?
Well,
God saved them.
God saved him. What happened, Richard?
well, the king was confused that there were 4 people in there.
Yeah,
Instead of 3, because God was in there with them.
absolutely. God is with us whenever we're in trouble, isn't he? And he protects us and keeps us.
And when the king saw that they were not burning, well, he put his finger in there and burned off his finger.
Oh, my
and
goodness,
He was
that's horrible.
confused. He was confused about how they were staying alive.
So he brought them out, and he saw there was no smoke on their clothes. There was nothing burned. Even their eyebrow was not even burned. Nothing was burned about them. And so he changed his mind, and he said, I'm going to worship the one true God, and everyone in my kingdom will worship the one true God, the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And that was a wonderful story. And we had one other story we talked about, and that was about the earthquake with Paul and Silas. They were in prison for their faith, weren't they? And how did God come and rescue them?
Well, this one earthquake happened and it broke their chains, and the walls, I think, fell down so that they could escape.
But they didn't escape, did they?
No,
Zach, why did they decide to stay in the prison rather than escape?
Because they didn't want to get in trouble more for trying to get out whenever they weren't supposed to.
And they wanted to also protect the jailer, didn't they?
They didn't want the jailer to kill himself, because if his prisoners got loose, some people would come and kill him.
Yeah.
And they yelled that they was still there.
And so in the end, Richard, we'll have one more comment here, and then we'll be wrapping up. But the jailer was so appreciative that they had not run away, and he said, "How must I be saved?" And what happened?
Well, they taught him everything that they knew about God, and then the prison guard, well, he wanted to be baptized then.
Yeah, and his whole family was baptized, and they were all saved, weren't they?
Yeah.
And so this is the story of God and family. In a nutshell, in a half an hour, a lot of the work that the Scouts has done, and you can see they're understanding God's Word, they're handling it well, and I'm so appreciative of the parents who have worked with Cub Pack 128 and worked on this God and Family project. Guys, as we go off the air, why don't we say thanks to our teachers, thanks to our mom and dad, thanks to our den mother, other people that help out with Scouts. Let's have a big thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
yo. Thanks,
Thank
yo.
you, Leah.
And thank you for Channel 3 for this opportunity to come your way each week with our program Tender Loving Care. We certainly enjoy working with Scouts. We enjoy showing our Scouts off to our community. It's a wonderful program. Scouts are reverent, and we learn a lot about God. So we'll see you next week.
Stories of a West Virginia Doctor, written by Dr. Harold D. Allman. A collection of 55 short stories about his experience as a small-town doctor in central West Virginia. And Tender Loving Care, Stories from a West Virginia Doctor, Volume 2, written by Dr. Greenbrier Allman, using videotapes to write 70 additional stories of his father's very colorful life as a small-town doctor. They can be found for purchase at Amazon.com and most local bookstores. Tune into Channel 3 Buckhannon for Tender Loving Care with Dr. Greenbrier Allman, where he talks about the connection between Christianity and medicine.